How to overcome fear, or how to overcome your fears. So I'll talk you through it, and I'll teach you, and I'll explain how I've done it, how I've taught other people. You can try this for yourself and see how it works. If you're new to my YouTube channel, subscribe. My name's Jonathan. I'm a mentor and a teacher. I teach people how to face their fears and their anxieties so they can build confidence, change their life, and become a better person. So I think the first thing that you've got to do is, you've got to commit to facing the fears in your own mind, because all the fears that we have, most of the fears that we have, the external fears, they torment us in our own mind. So for example, when I was younger, I had a fear of speaking more because I got bullied and people laughed at me and they threatened me and they teased me, and it made me frightened. I was frightened of fear. I was frightened of other people putting fear into me, or punishing me, or bullying me, or reliving those negative experiences. So I spent a lot of time worrying in my own mind, going over worst case scenarios. What if something bad happens to me? What if I get into a situation again at school or publicly and I'm not able to handle it? So that ongoing uncertainty, it nearly drove me mad. Then I realized that I was going to have to face it. If I didn't face the fear, it was going to bully me. It felt like it was going to bully me forever, because I was always asking questions. Will I ever overcome this fear? Will the bullying stop? Will I ever feel confident again? Will I ever feel free again? Will I ever be able to be happy? Will I ever be able to accept myself again? Will I be able to get over this shame? The shame of being shamed, people making me question myself. Will I be able to get back to winning ways again? So after going through a lot of suffering, a lot of torment from external bullying and from my own anxieties bullying me, I decided, let me confront this in my own mind. Let me really stop going back and forward and make a decision. And then I realized that I'm going to confront it in reality. So when I confronted my fears in reality, for the first second or so, it felt really frightening. It felt like I was going to die. But after that, I was surprised that it was easy. It was easy. It was harder when I was going over my fears in my own mind. So, my own imagination, rumination, overthinking, worrying, constantly second guessing. So when I just faced it and started to speak or stood up to bullies, I was surprised how much strength I had. I was surprised that nothing happened. And if something happened, I was able to handle it. So if a bully was to shout at me, I could shout back. If they were going to hit me, I could hit them back, use self-defense. In most cases, it never came to that. Sometimes it did. Sometimes I did have to fight back. But even then, it wasn't that bad. The worst part was the worrying, was when I was with my own mind. So that was when I first really got experience as a young boy with conquering fear, which was the first area was standing up to bullying on a physical level and on a verbal level. Then of course, as life goes on, the fears still continue. You get other fears. I had fears of living, fears of many different situations, and I applied the same philosophy. Same philosophy when I started making YouTube videos. I was frightened of, what if something bad happens? Or what if I make a fool of myself? Or what if I physically can't speak? All those insecurities that I had. So when I made a commitment to face the fear in my own mind and to actually make a YouTube video, it was easy. It wasn't that hard. And then I was surprised at how confident I was. So I think we've got to face fear twice. We've got to face the fear in our own mind, and then we've got to go and face the external fear, whatever your fear may be. Many fears that we have: public speaking, asking someone out on a date, communicating, leaving your house, going to the gym, getting on a plane. All these situations can be different. Getting in a boxing ring, starting a business for the first time, but the actual fear itself is the same. It's exactly the same thing that you've got to face. You've got to face your own emotions. You've got to face your own anxieties. So it's the emotions that scare us, and it's also the thoughts, it's the conversation in your head. And when you confront fear, you confront it on all those levels, and then you get stronger because you survive. And surviving any sort of perceived danger, even if it's the most simplest thing like getting out of bed and brushing your teeth and you're scared to do it, It gives you self-belief, it gives you confidence because you didn't die. And it puts things into perspective, and then when the fears come up again, you know the strategy, you know the trick of fear. Fear will always tell you you can't handle it, it's going to kill you, it's going to debilitate you. You know, uncertainty is going to constantly plague you and torment you, because when you're in it, when you start trying to solve uncertainty in your own mind, there's no solution, because it never ends in that way of thinking. But when you face fear, you break that prison of uncertainty, and then you have more peace, you have more connection, you understand fear a lot more. You can put things into perspective in a healthy way. So I'm not saying every fear, but I'd say the majority of fears are overcome through taking action. And again, this has been something that it's been an ongoing learning experience, both practicing in my own life and both with teaching other people. Most of the time, if not all the time, fear is an illusion. It's an illusion that feels so real that we can often be tricked into believing it. So people believe that they can't do things because they listen to their fears, which tells lies, which comes with intrusive thoughts that are not ours. It comes with intrusive emotions. It comes with images and stories, and it uses all those things. So it's on every level, understanding fear. And when I was younger, I didn't understand fear. I just thought, I'm a coward, I'm ashamed, I'm a bad person, I shouldn't be feeling this. Other people don't feel it, until I realised that you're not a bad person, that everybody experiences fear. It's part of being human. And the fear most of the time is to protect us, but it overprotects. It protects us too much. And then we're debilitated, we can't even have peace. So it's practice, and it's doing it consistently. And the more you practice facing your fears and taking action on your fears, the more your mental health starts to improve, because most of mental health problems come from obsessive thinking, loneliness, isolation. So another great tip with overcoming fear is to talk about your fears with someone that you can trust. And then you're able to get that support that you need. But sometimes you don't need other people, you just need to find your own courage. And as I said, I found the most strength in my life when I was at my most frightened, if that makes sense. But I'm not saying that any of you have got to go to that extreme degree, but that was my experience when I was younger, and it continued growing up. And there is a real shocking element, because if you've been building something up for such a long time and you've been believing it, you give it so much energy and attention and meaning that it scares you to death. You create like an invisible monster. And when you actually take it on and you defeat it, you can't believe how much easier it was as opposed to what you thought it would be. And again, I can use that analogy with many things that I've been fearful about in my life that I've overcome, and many things that I've seen throughout the years, many of you be fearful that you've overcome, and many clients. And sometimes, as I said, it's things that if you said out loud, you may not think it's scary, but you can be scared of anything if you allow your mind to take control and to frighten you and bully you and convince you that it's a lot worse than it is. But we're not denying that some fears are terrifying. You know, one of the fears that's always frightened me, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to face it, but I'm not in a hurry, and that's swimming in the ocean with a great white shark, which could kill you and eat you to death. So that's an extreme, but generally most fears, you're not going to die when you face them. It's very, very unlikely, and it's a much better option to take a risk and see if that happens. Obviously we don't want that to happen, but just to kind of play a game with your own mind, because your mind can kill you slowly on the obsessive worrying of fear. And I know that from first-hand experience, being such a fearful person myself at so many times in my life. But I also know that anybody can be really brave. And I don't say that to be big-headed, but I say it because it's true. I've been so brave in my life at many times because of having no choice, being tormented and driven into absolute desperation and uncertainty and anxiety and pain, and just thinking, I've got to get relief from this pain, and then being so fortunate and so happy to do that. Anyone can do it. So this is really the way that I would explain my own process and the process that I've helped other people to overcome fear. And of course, we're all going to have our own mental conversation with how we do it, and your conversation could sound and look quite different to mine. That's fine, but the principle's the same. So basically, if you've got a fear, at some point you've got to face it, unless it's a fear that is something that doesn't need to be faced in reality, but maybe it just needs to be understood a bit more, left alone, and then eventually it will pass. But most of the fears that we got in life are practical fears that we have to face to get proof. So fears of things like people, the dentist, job interviews, first dates, relationships, exercising, public speaking. These are fears that if you don't face them, then for as long as you're alive, you're always going to have fear. You're always going to lack confidence because you're not going to have anything to base a belief on. So you get proof by facing the fear, and that changes your belief system. So all the things that I've ever done in my life that I've been scared to do, for the most part, I didn't believe I could do them. I didn't believe I was good enough, and I never believed that I was strong enough. I never felt ready to face the fear, but that's the trick of fear. These are all the tricks, all the things. It will always make you feel, unless you change it, that you're not ready, you're not good enough, and you can't handle it. But when you face it, usually you get proof that you are good enough and you can handle it. And if you can't handle it, there's still a positive, well then you can try again, because there are some fears that are extremely debilitating. And when you expose yourself to them, it's such a shock to the system that you might not be able to handle it. An example is when I first started boxing guys and girls, I couldn't handle the sparring. I was too overwhelmed. I froze and got terrified. So I just accepted that and tried again. And it took me a couple of tries until I was able to overcome the fear and relax and box. Same with public speaking. The first couple of talks I'd done, I was debilitated and I froze, but I never gave up. So that's another really good tip, is to never give up, because it's not like a video game in a sense that if you die, well, even in a video game, actually it is like a video game. If you die, you just go again. So, the reality is it's unlikely that you're going to die. But if we live a whole life in fear and what ifs, then we're never going to move forward with our short time on this earth, and that's a shame. So everybody's got the courage to do it. It's understanding how to get out of that place and take it on and try. And you're not going to know if you don't try. There's certain fears that I've got as well, new fears, and I don't know if I don't try. So things like, I know a lot of people, I know I was afraid to get help, afraid to ask for therapy or take a course. We're all human. And I was scared myself. I've been a teacher for 12 years, and every time I got help, coaching or therapy, I was frightened as well. But I faced it and got the help and I overcame the fear, and I felt so good. So generally you do feel really, really good when you face the fear. Even if you fail, it's way better than not trying at all. You can still take something from that. I'd rather try something and fail than not try at all and have to live with the torment of the what ifs and feeling bad and feeling down and getting more frightened. So fear is a bully. Fear is like all bullies. When you stand up to it, it backs down, it stops bullying you. But when you give it your respect, when you give it too much attention, when you make it bigger than what it is, it just continues to bully you, even in your own mind. And that's what all of us go through. We're all the same in that way until we start standing up to it. And of course, it's an ongoing thing. So we've all got different fears, and I've tried to share this in the right way. A lot of people have said to me, oh, I'm fearless, I'm this, and that's like, it's not entirely true. Some of the fears I'm good at because I've practiced them. There's going to be some fears that you're better than me at. So it's not a competition between the next person. It shouldn't be. It's about you and learning, but you can learn from one another. So you really have to stop and realize that it's normal to have fears. Mike Tyson has said on countless occasions how frightened he was. Everybody, George St. Pierre, I've admitted it, I continue to admit it to help people, many people that you look up to, and just everyone around you's got fear. But it's about learning how to manage it and live a better life. Because otherwise, what choice have you got? We've all got fears, we're going to be frightened anyway, so you might as well get the most out of life. And I don't think that's the entire meaning of life. I don't have all the answer to that question. But I think it's one of the things that we all have to overcome. Even me as a person of faith, I believe that God's given me the strength to take on the fears that even sometimes I think I can't handle it. I doubt myself, right? It's normal. So it's not about judging and saying, oh, I doubt, I'm scared, I'm ashamed. It's just about going, this is a normal human challenge. Let's overcome this. And then you really start to enjoy life more. And I've always found that after facing a really difficult fear, life seems a lot more easier You know, your perspective changes because you've gone through that experience. But I do think it's really important to have compassion. And I know that we all do it at times, but we shouldn't judge people so harshly when they get scared, because we'll be judging ourselves. Many times I've got scared. If all of you would have seen my whole life, you would have seen so many times where I was a coward, I got frightened and I ran away. I literally ran away from people bullying me around my area. I ran away from job interviews, I ran away from relationships, I ran away from business opportunities, I ran away from family gatherings. Sometimes you just can't do it. You just got to be humble and say, I'm too frightened, I'm a coward, I can't do it right now. But you can learn. Eventually you gather the strength up, you work on your mindset, you know, you get the help you need, and then you're ready to take it on. So I hope this really helps people and gives people a lot of hope. And I've enjoyed sharing it because it's something that sometimes I struggle to share because I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I think a lot of you will understand this, and a lot of you have done this already, or you've done it at some point. Sometimes we forget how brave we are because we're focusing on now what's challenging us. So, you know, don't be embarrassed to get help when you need it. I got help so many times from people that were stronger than me or stronger in certain areas. And it rubs off, you know, being around people that are brave and strong, or can give you the help and support. Even a conversation, you know, with my nan or my dad or my mum, give me that strength. So a conversation with someone that cares about you can give you the strength that you need to go and take on one of your fears. And you don't have to be perfect, because none of us are, to overcome a fear. And it's like any skill, you get better by practicing it, by understanding it, and then you get used to feeling those feelings, and you get used to having those thoughts but not believing them. Negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts, panic, self-doubt, self-criticism, the past, all those stories. You learn how to break through those things. And I talk a lot on this community and channel also about the value of exercising and training and dieting, simple things that strengthen the mind and enable you to be stronger in the face of fear and adversity. So I'll leave it as that. Hope a lot of you got a lot from this. I will speak about this on other videos, but I wanted to give like a long explanation today, because, you know, sometimes there's good videos on YouTube, but sometimes I feel like they're a bit too short. For some people that's great, sometimes it really does help, but sometimes I know a lot of you and all of us need, like, I need a bit of an explanation. I need someone to talk me through it, to give me some hope, a little bit of healthy reassurance. I don't think a little bit in balance is good, not too much, and then that really motivates you. So I'm also motivating all of you right now. I'm motivating myself to motivate you, because I know what it's like when you've got fears. You're battling, you're going from being brave to being scared, and you're in that indecision until you finally say, right, I've had enough now. I can't live like this anymore. I can't let this fear do this to me. I'm going to take it on. And I really do want to stress a point. Don't put the fears in a hierarchy, because a lot of times, especially for guys, this is for everybody, right, of all ages, men and women, but men sometimes their ego get in the way, and it's like, well, or my fear is quite small, your fear is bigger than mine. It's like, no, anything that you're frightened of is going to take courage to overcome. And you can't always compare yourself to people, because, you know, some people are frightened of insects, other people are not. Some people are terrified of public speaking, others are not. Some people are really frightened of job interviews, others are not. So don't compare your fear or say one's bigger or smaller. And I said, some people can swim with great white sharks. It's nothing to them. They do it for a living, where I'd be petrified. And some people would be terrified to do my job, teach people, mentor. And it's something that I've got used to doing and comfortable doing because of many years of practice. Some people can go in a boxing ring and they've got used to it. Other people would be debilitated. Now, some people are frightened of injections, others are not. So it's good to have this understanding, because this used to really affect my self-esteem when I used to compare myself to others and say, well, they're brave, I'm a coward. Oh, I've only faced a little fear. Oh, that's not good enough. So it's getting out of that. Every single fear that you face is victory. It is something to feel proud of in yourself. To do that, it takes a lot of courage, and then you can build on that. You know, every single fear you face gives you more strength and courage to then go and take on the next fear. All right. I'm going to stop now, because I won't stop speaking about this subject. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to all of you soon. I appreciate you coming on the morning live streams as well. If you've got any questions, let me know in the box below. And as always, if any of you want to book a mentoring session, I do online sessions that start from an hour. I also do in-person mentorship sessions, short-term, medium and long-term. My email address is below if you want to inquire about booking a mentoring session. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see all of you soon. Bye.